Hey YouTube, in this video I'm going to be talking about how to get faster. I and a lot of other people have mentioned a lot of things that you can do to get faster, such as drills, plyometrics, gym training, etc. But I haven't personally said this yet, but one of the best ways to get faster is through flies, because you can do a lot of drills, you can do a lot of plyos, but you can only do so many plyos, and drills do get boring fast, and even then you only really do drills before or after your training. When you actually get into your training, you need to actually do something. And if you want to actually improve, one of the things you can do is implement more flies into your training. With the focus being obviously on high quality flies, especially for flies, purely because the way flies operate, quality is the only way to move forwards. Now, let's start off by talking about what flies actually are. So, flies is a tool in your arsenal that you can use to actually try and get faster. It's called speed endurance training, though I personally believe speed endurance training is a myth, though that's a day for that's a video for a different day. What it's supposed to do is it teaches you how to maintain your max velocity whilst you're sprinting. Flies operate in a, depending on how you do the flies, there's two main ways to do the flies, but they operate in a really simple format. Essentially, you've got a bunch of cones, no more than 3. And if you're doing a sub-maximal gradual acceleration, you do that to the first cone, and by the time you get to that first cone, you've reached top speed or very close to it. And once you get there, if you haven't reached top speed, you get there, or you put in a maximal amount of effort, or now you're at top speed and you just hold it to the next cone. If you probably do have another cone further out from where you started at, this cone might need to be readjusted until you've found where you reach top speed at, where how far you need to be from the second cone to actually reach top speed from the first cone. Then another way would be to actually do it with a maximal acceleration, all out acceleration, and obviously still 3 cones, and you just go up to the second cone. And in this case, you just hope to be at top speed. Depends on how far away the first cone is. This also might need to be shuffled around a bit, but generally that's how it is. And what's important here isn't the acceleration portion, but it's the second cone to the third cone. That period is the actual fly. That is where you're actually doing the fly, because the fly is only the period where you're at top speed or close to it. So all the extra distance you've done was irrelevant essentially. But once you get to your top speed, you want to hold that until the final cone. And obviously the goal here is to teach your body how to maintain top speed whilst dispersing as little energy as possible. So there's a couple different things you want to be focusing on when we're doing these flies when we're actually at top speed. Mainly 2. First of all, staying relaxed. When you're tense, your muscles are working, and you're more likely to work with your muscles, which we don't want for starters, because we want to work with our tendons, especially at top speed. And second of all, by doing that, you're actually wasting energy, because your body is resisting subconsciously the movement of moving your legs in a circular fashion. It's doing it slower because you're tensing, because it's taking more effort to move your body in that position. So you want to focus on staying relaxed, and you want to focus on making sure that your form is textbook. You want to land on your center of mass and recover your foot and get your hamstrings and calves to touch. Raise those knees high, but pull from your hips, and then repeat the motion with the other leg and keep going over and over and over again. Make sure your shoulders are relaxed, your body's relaxed, and you're just moving your arms in the full range of motion, and you're doing them as fast as possible. When you're doing the flies, that's what you want to be getting from them. Depending on how you do the flies, like I said before, if you do the submaximal acceleration all the way up to top speed, what's going to end up happening is you're going to actually be able to teach yourself how to gradually get to speed. And this is obviously important for trying to run 100, 200, 400 meters. 60 slightly, but not too much. There wouldn't be too much of a focus, purely because this is just more about being able to hold more energy in whilst you're sprinting. With 100, you might not notice, but when you're running the 100, the quality of your acceleration will affect not only how quickly you get to top speed, but how long you hold it. Obviously, we can't verify in the race when you reach top speed, you're probably not focusing, or definitely probably not how long you was there for, because you might think you was there for like 20 meters and you was there for 3. But by working on this, your body's gonna figure out how to get to top speed in a more gradual fashion, so you're dispersing as little energy as possible. Because like with a car, if you suddenly push the gas down, you're going to waste a lot more energy than if you slowly press the pedal down, 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 and let your car get all the way up to top speed. This is the type of stuff you get from flies. Obviously, this would be more important for 200, 400 than it would be for 100, but your times can go down just by being more efficient. And then with the maintenance of your top speed, what you'll notice is there's 2 things that I think is really important when you actually focus on flies and you do it right whilst trying to relax and work on your form. So when you try to relax, you're going to be wasting less energy, because at top speed, you can't actually use your muscles. You can't force your muscles to fire at the speed you're moving at. It can only be your tendons. And if you can actually figure out how to make it just only be your tendons, you're going to be wasting less energy when you're sprinting, and you're going to be able to hold your speed for longer. So these flies, after a while, will just become like, can't really think of the word off the top of my head, but it will essentially just become like another day in the office, essentially. Then the next thing would be the form. When you're working on your form, what you'll notice is the better your form is, the more force you're going to be able to put into the ground. And when that happens, you won't realize if you're not timing the flies, but you're going to be going from the second cone to the third cone much faster than you did when you first started the flies. And another reason why these flies are important is because when paired with another form of training, which another video, what's going to end up happening is, you've probably noticed yourself, is when you're sprinting, sometimes you feel like you're close to, or maybe you're either close to top speed or you've reached it, but you can kind of feel like there's still more in the tank. You can still accelerate a bit more. By doing flies, it makes it easy for you to get to that next gear. Obviously, it's not guaranteed, but because the main way to actually get to that next gear would be with, well, I'm actually going to put in a different video. It's called ins and outs. When you pair those with flies, your body is just ready for anything, essentially, and it's going to be prepared to just throttle and just keep going. Because the flies, what they do with the form is they make it so that your top speed actually gets slightly better than how it was before, and you're able to hold it for longer. And then by doing ins and outs, they just play with your body in a way that I don't even think is science, but it's one of the easiest ways to increase your speed, just through ins and outs. And yeah, that's the video. If you really want to get faster, make sure you do a lot of flies. Focus on quality, because if you just do a lot of quantity, what's going to end up happening is, like I said before in other videos, you're just going to train your body to get slow. Because especially if you're not timing these flies, what's going to end up happening is, let's say you do the flies like the 30 meters, because you only want to time the actual fly itself in 4 seconds. Yeah, 4 seconds. And you do like 5 reps, and there's a variance of 0.2. So you manage to go from 4 seconds to 4.8, and then it slowly goes back up until it's like 4.2. Actually, that's not even a variance of 2, that's a 0.2, that's a variance of 0.4. But you're within that range, 4.8, sorry, not 4.8, 3.8 to 4.2. But what happens if you keep doing more reps? What you're gonna notice is the times is gonna get slower and slower and slower and slower and slower. Once these times have gotten too slow, you're not going to be getting any benefits. It's literally just cardio. It's just cardio, regardless of how long of a rest you take, whether this is a minute, 5, or 20. It doesn't matter how long the rest is. But for flies, the rest should be long, because you're focusing on max velocity. So when you're doing the flies, the entire distance you're running, you should essentially be giving yourself like a minute for every single 10 meters you sprint for, with a cap at around like 15 minutes. Though I highly doubt you're gonna need to sprint for like 100 and, well, yeah, it's about 120 meters for a 30-meter flight. There's no way that's going to happen. So you'll probably detect the rest is going to be shorter than that, but you want to make sure your rest is quality. If you like my video, like the video, let me know in the comment section below. Check the description, because anything I forget to say in the video, I always put in the description. And if you like my content, subscribe. Helps the channel out a lot. I post every 2 days at 1 p.m. Greenwich Mean Time. If you don't know when that is, just hit the bell and then you'll be notified instantly.